And we are back on the WHHI-TV Daily News. With me still is Mayor Alan Perry, and Town Council recently had a strategic planning workshop that the public was invited to. And so we're going to learn all about that right now. So let's talk workshop.
Yeah, what a great 2 days. We started off with the Municipal Association of South Carolina coming in and kind of going over the basic rules of governance, and which is always great to have that refresher every year because there may be some things you don't remember, don't realize, and it puts you on the right path for a great decorum when you have a meeting. So we started talking about process, how we do some things, and we realized that, I made some changes beginning of this year in not having a public planning committee on town council, and that's created somewhat of a challenge in the traffic flow of some projects. Okay. So we've had some conversations and are looking at taking the two committees we have, Finance and Administration and Community Services and Public Safety, and reworking them just a little bit so that those items that would have gone to PPC will now go through one of those committees. And what we hope will happen is that when it goes to those committees, that town council members will show up and also have their input as well, right? You'll still have the three members of the committee that will vote to move something forward or not, but it will create more of a workshop atmosphere. Okay. So we're just trying to create this opportunity to have a policy or a project more vetted up front before it comes to council, so that everybody's well aware of the challenges and what's going on.
Okay, so that can maybe speed up the process a little bit. It's an extra step maybe, but it kind of will then speed up the process?
Well, it's not necessarily an extra step because we had it before. Okay. We were going to go to workshop. But I think going through committee is an easier way of doing that, especially if you create it like a workshop. And every council member is invited and encouraged to attend. But what it does is it puts more of the information out there, okay, with public input.
So bringing even more of the community into these decisions. I'm sure that's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes, but obviously being transparent and having the community in the loop is always a good thing.
It is.
So what were the priorities that you were talking about from moving forward for this year and beyond?
Yeah, so what we came up with a list of priorities that we're not done yet. We're still in the process of prioritizing these priorities and strategic action plans and what is the timeline to get them done. So, the top three that came out is protect island character through growth management. That's the land management ordinance, which we're working on, but that is the number one thing that we've got to get addressed to make certain that we really are protecting ourselves, and we're kind of correcting some of the things that went awry in the past. Okay. Let's get rid of some clear cutting. Let's make certain that we're not building too many units per acre. Right. Let's really go back to the character, the physical character of Hilton Head Island. Enhance major corridor and streets, right? So we know that right now we're doing some corridor enhancement along 278 between Beach City Road and Dillon Road. And it's looking beautiful, right? So we want to take that throughout the island and make certain that what we're doing really enhances, again, the character of Hilton Head. Yeah. Main Street, we've got to work on that as well. What is the timeline? Where does the money come from? And then assess and reinforce island resilience, right? So that is one of the most important things we need to look at, because what does it mean when we go to build a new project? What does it mean when a new community wants to come around and build? What are the available resources for them infrastructurally? Where does our infrastructure need to go down the road? Do we need to invest in more drainage? Do we need to upgrade drainage? Yesterday we did a groundbreaking for a new well that can generate $6 million of water, 6 million gallons of water a day. Yeah. So these are all the things about the resiliency of our island. What happens when a storm comes through? How do we bounce back? Where do the funds need to be, and how much do we need to have in an account to make certain that we're prepared for the resiliency aspect when things come through? We're well situated financially, but we've got to look at the entire picture to say, okay, where's our growth, right? How do we control that? What do we look like? And then how do we make certain that the next 60 years have been as great as the past 60 years? Right. And then there's also additional items that we're looking at in there. And probably in June, July, we'll come back and have another workshop and go over all of this and the timeline as to which it'll be put out. Okay. And the expected timeline for those projects to take. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. You guys talked about a lot.
We did.
We'll look forward to your next update so we can get some more details on those. But thank you for sharing so far what you have worked on in your workshop.
Great.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it. And as always, thank you for being here.
Always.
And we'll be back, so stay tuned.